Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Enjoy English School. I'm Bruce.
And I'm Laurie.
Yesterday, we started talking about the Sanxia Indigo industry, a local industry in Taiwan that Taiwan has had for a long, long time. By the end of the lesson, though, we found out that in many places around the world, the traditional making of indigo-dyed clothing has died out a bit because now machines are doing it, and the color and the patterns aren't quite as fashionable as they were 100 years ago or earlier. We're going to be talking more about the Sanxia area and what they are still doing with indigo dyeing.
所以呢，刚刚 Bruce 老师帮我们稍微的复习了一下昨天所提到的这个三峡的蓝染产业。那么今天呢，要继续来看到更多关于这个三峡蓝染的这个趣味的部分。所以呢，我们赶快来跟着 Bruce 老师一起看看吧。
Okay, we're continuing really. This is day 2. I already reviewed most of what we talked about yesterday. Today we're starting with our first paragraph, first sentence, which also begins with the word today. But this today is not 今天, this special day, day 2, July 31st of the year 2020. Today, if you have been talking about history before, say the development of industry or the growth or decline of certain cultural artifacts or practices or products, then we can use today. 50 years ago, no, but today, it means nowadays. There's another word you can use, nowadays, N-O-W-A-D-A-Y-S. It must have the plural form, N-O-W-A-D-A-Y-S. Nowadays, Taiwan's Sanxia region is well known for preserving the indigo dyeing tradition. We just mentioned the word tradition. That's to do something that's been done for a long, long time, for many generations, maybe century after century. Preserving here means keep. To keep doing something is to preserve a tradition. Maybe not exactly the same way as it was done before, but China has so many traditions. Lunar New Year is no doubt the most famous one, and it's changed a bit in what people do and what they think about it, but they still do it. So we call that a preserved tradition.
所以呢，我们首先来看到今天这个文章呢继续的往下发展那么第一句讲到说呢，那么到了今天所以今日那所以刚刚呢，这个 Bruce 老师补充了 nowadays 它呢指的就是到了现在，那是去区隔你显然前面有讲过去那么所以你就可以用 today 来做这个开头，那并不是指真的是今天这样子那么台湾的三峡区呢，它 be well known for 就是以什么而著名这里的 be known for 我们再次的看到，昨天也有复习一下 be known as 这个以什么为著名呢？后面我们要放动名词，以呢保存这个蓝染的传统tradition 传统而有名。
The area hosts an annual indigo dyeing festival from mid to late July, which is now in its 19th year. So the people of Sanxia and the people especially who are in the indigo dyeing business, they have, since 19 years ago, started an indigo dyeing festival. A festival is a big party for a whole community, not just a family or just a business, but a whole area, a region. And Sanxia is a region of New Taipei City.
对.
Right? Okay. So in the 19th year, that means it's still going. Well, maybe that's going to be a tradition. If more and more people go to it every year, that's a good sign that people are interested in tradition, in culture, in history.
所以呢，接下来这句讲到说，这个地区啊，指的当然就是前一句讲的三峡这个地区呢，它 hosts 就是主办、举办啊这个动词。那么呢，一个 annual 是指年度的、一年一次的啊，每年的。所以呢，这个一年一次的蓝染节，这里呢节日的名称，所以你看它的 I 跟 D 跟 F 是大写啊。然后呢，举办每年一次的蓝染节呢，这个是从7月中到7月底啊的这个蓝染节。那么逗号的后面告诉我们，也就是呢那个现在已经迈入第19个年头的蓝染节。
It includes, it being the Indigo Dyeing Festival, includes exhibitions. Exhibitions are shows. Maybe there are people on a stage doing something. More likely they are tables or posters or information on a blackboard or something. Or they have people doing things, not necessarily on a stage to entertain people, but to show you how to use your chopsticks or marbles or other things. And maybe they teach you how to dye something with indigo dye. Well, there are activities. There might be a parade. There could be outside entertainment brought in. You know there's going to be food. I cannot imagine the Taiwanese having anything without food. And so there may be barbecues and things where you can watch people cook and things like that, especially around Sanxia Old Street and the Zuxi Temple. I'm not familiar with Sanxia. I did go there once, 150 years ago, long before the good transportation that we have today. It took us half a day from, we were living in Jiubaya.
石牌.
And it took us half a day to get to Sanxia. And we went there for the New Year. They have a big pig where they kill and then show the huge pigs, many hundreds of kilograms each pig. And it's a really special thing in Sanxia.
OK， 所以呢，我们首先刚刚呢，这个 Bruce 老师是分享了说，在这个150年前，当然这不是真的啦，是开玩笑的。但是就是说，很久很久之前，他曾经去过三峡一次，那是从石牌去，花了很长的时间，因为那个时候的交通没有现在这么发达，这么便利这样。然后呢，当时看到有杀猪那个是这个几百公斤的猪，非常大只然后呢，这个给了他很深的印象好，那么呢，所以我们先回到来句子这边再讲到说呢，这个蓝染节啊，就是这个 it 它包含了这个展览。各式各样的展览以及呢这个活动，所以活动刚刚 Bruce 老师才会提到说，台湾的这个节庆没有食物的话是不太可能的然后呢特别是在这个三峡的老街还有祖师庙的附近这样子的这些活动跟展览呢都有举办。
In fact, actually, Sanxia Old Street used to be called the Dyed Fabric Street due to its role in the local industry. Now, we had the word textile yesterday. Fabrics are kinds of cloth or kinds of material that are made into usually clothing, whether it's close to the body like a shirt or pants or overcoat. And different materials are used, of course, in our clothing, such as cotton, silk. Thank you very much. I couldn't think of anything. Wool, very good example. I like wool. W-O-O-L, the hair from sheep is wool. Cotton and some other materials that I just can't think of right now, but all of them will be used in the textile industry, and we call those materials fabrics.
所以呢，接下来这一句讲到说这个事实上实际上呢三峡老街曾经被这里的 used to 就是呢曾经所以我们昨天也有复习到那个 be used to 跟 used to 这里出现的就是曾经被称为这里的话呢这个是名称，所以你看到 D 跟 F 跟 S 又是大写。那么是什么呢？就是染坊一条街那么这个染坊一条街的称呼是因为 due to 那么呢 its 指的呢当然就是这个蓝染它的这个角色，在什么的角色呢？在这个当地产业的角色，当地产业的地位，而被称为蓝染一条街。那么刚刚呢 Bruce 老师讲到了 fabrics 所以呢提到跟昨天的 textile 它是纺织，那么今天的 fabrics 它指的是布料，所以刚刚呢提到像有这个棉，有这个丝，有这个羊毛等等很多种的材料。
I just thought of the Chinese anyway, ma bu.
Okay.
But I can't remember what that is in English. That's another one of my favorite I like natural materials. Anyway, let's continue. Cultural groups still work to preserve the dyeing industry's history here. Cultural groups will be groups of citizens who want to preserve traditions. They want to keep history alive so that young people can better understand where they come from, what their parents, grandparents, and even earlier generations than that, how they lived, what they made, what they ate, and so on.
所以接下来呢他讲到说，那么文化团体，而且不止一个所以你看到是 groups， 他们呢依然呢在致力于做什么事情的时候是 work to 他们仍然致力于去保存，这里的 preserve 那么保存呢就是这个地区的蓝染产业的历史。
All right, next paragraph. But why was Sanxia such a big part of Taiwan's early textile industry?We've said this now for all day yesterday and until now today, that Sanxia and the indigo dyeing industry, that was the center. Sanxia was the center of this industry. Well, if you're the center, you're a big part of something, and this was Taiwan's early textile industry. Now, early here, we've been talking about maybe the 19th century, the 1800s.Is the 19th century. Already by that time, Sanxia was developing its indigo industry.
所以接下来这一段呢就来问问题了。他讲到说，但是为什么三峡呢会是台湾早期纺织产业这么大的一个部分，那换言之这么重要的一个部分所以呢你可以说这个为什么它是早期纺织业的一个重镇呢
And we answer that question. For starters, that means there's going to be more than one explanation or reason for something. Sanxia, was, at that time, near mountains ideally suited for growing indigo plants. Well, it still is. You can't change the mountains, but people might not be growing indigo plants as much as they used to. There are other crops that they may be growing instead of, but at least at that time, people knew that the humid mountain climate was great, was ideal, which means perfect, for growing these plants, and they became a cash crop for the region. They grew more indigo plants than they could use themselves, but they could sell the extra, and in that case, we call whatever you grow a cash crop, because you earn money from it.
好，所以呢接下来讲到首先当你呢后面还有其他的，那么这个时候你想要这个从第一个开始讲，你就可以说首先It was near mountains 它是靠近着这个山，而且是怎么样的山呢？那个非常的，这里的 ideal 本来是理想的 ideally 就是呢非常的这个理想的呢能够适合去种植蓝染植物的这个山，它是靠近它的怎么样的蓝染植物？逗号的后面告诉我们，也就是当时那个地区早期的一个经济作物，这里的 cash crop 我们讲就是经济作物。
Thanks to the Zuxi Temple, Sanxia was already a popular destination for both visitors and craftspeople. That's another reason to explain why Sanxia became an important, big, or even central part of Taiwan's early textile industry. A lot of people went there. They not necessarily went there for the textile industry, but mountains, and I remember there's a river there. It's a beautiful area, And it's nice to go out into the country from the city now and then. So not only people who worked in the industry of indigo dyeing, but just tourists or visitors who went to the area would also see original indigo dyeing fabric and the textile industry there.
所以接下来这一句讲到了说呢，那么多亏了这个祖师庙啊，所以三峡呢，它已经是一个对游客以及工匠们来说呢，都是一个受欢迎的圣地。
And a third reason, here they start the sentence with plus, which means and. Also, being at a point, that is Sanxia, where three rivers join, made it, Sanxia, a perfect place for dyeing and rinsing fabrics. You need water when you dye things because you have to put the material into a liquid that has the dye in it. It's not a dry material. You add water to it, and that's how fabric becomes dyed. Also for rinsing, when you don't want some color in a fabric or you don't want very much, you need extra water. And then we say you use water to rinse something.
所以呢，接下来他在讲到第三点了，所以他说 plus 啊，此外啊，这个 being at a point 就是位于这个点啊，什么点呢 ？Where three rivers join 啊，就是呢三河交界的这个地点，你位于这个地点的话呢 ，made it 也使得它啊来成为呢一个 perfect place 是完美的地点。那么什么样的完美地点 ？for 后面告诉我们，就是这个染色还有漂洗这个布料啊织物的这个地点。
I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a break. Okay, now I'm rested so I can finish. Let's take a look at the last very short paragraph here. Due to a unique blend of geography and cultural forces, there's a mixture or a grouping of things. Remember, we had three reasons why Sanxia had a well-developed indigo dyeing industry there. And part of it was this unique, a very unusual, special mix of geography and cultural forces. The geography, the three rivers coming together, the humid mountain climate. Cultural forces, there's a very big and important temple there. And it has a little downtown area called Sanxia Old Street where people can go to enjoy life, to see what the town has to offer, to have a meal there. You're in the country. It's not a city. Well, today it's almost a city, but back then it wasn't. It was a very pleasant place to go and relax, maybe on the weekend. So because good geography and important cultural forces, Sanxia has ideally become a surprising center for a beautifully creative industry. It's surprising because we don't expect a place like Sanxia to have indigo industry develop there. But if you think about it, well, yeah, why not? There's the water, there's the mountains and the climate. It's a busy place. It's not a big city, but it has a lot of tourists. It has a lot of business in it. So it seems surprising, but actually it has developed a beautifully creative industry there because of different factors, the geography and the culture.
所以呢，接下来这边呢，等于是要来总结这个文章了。所以他讲到说呢，因为这个独特的结合 blend 本来也是指混合的意思就是在这里我们可以翻成结合，独一无二的结合。结合什么呢？ of 后面告诉我们是地理跟文化力量的结合那么 forces 这里是名词，等于是力量并不是那个 force 动词那个强迫因为这样子的独特的结合呢，三峡它非常理想的成为了这个令人惊讶、令人惊艳的一个美丽的创意产业中心。
These days, remember nowadays, visitors can still appreciate the region's history. Visitors will today mean tourists.They can go there to find out, I've heard about Sanxia, and they can go there and learn a lot about it, its history. And experiencing indigo dyeing firsthand means in person. You're going to see it, and maybe there's an exhibition where you can try to do indigo dyeing yourself.
We call that DIY now. Yeah, it's
Do it yourself.
Yeah.Do it yourself 好，所以呢，接下来讲到说，那么今天到了现代呢，游客们呢还是依然呢可以去这个 appreciate 是去了解并且欣赏这个地区的历史。借由什么方法呢？ by 后面告诉我们，借由体验这个蓝染，而且是怎么个体验法？是 first hand， 所以是这个亲自的、亲身的去体验，用这个方法去了解并且欣赏那个地区的历史。
Okay, let's have a short review. All right, we have very little time, so we have a very short review. In the second paragraph, the second sentence, we have ideally suited for growing indigo plants. If you are suited for, we can also use the adjective suitable for, S-U-I-T-A-B-L-E. And that means you are appropriate for something. It's good for you. It's right for you. Appropriate, A-P-P-R-O-P-R-I-A-T-E. A lot of P's. Appropriate, A-P-P-R-O-P-R-I-A-T-E. Appropriate, suitable, suited.
没错都是适合的意思，所以这里可以把 Bruce 老师提供的 suited for, suitable for 跟 appropriate 写在一起，把它背下来。
Okay, that's it for today's lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time.